All right, there's just 11 days to go till Election Day, but former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris aren't just sticking to the battlegrounds. They are both stopping in Texas today. Harris is set to talk about reproductive rights in the red state, and the Houston rally could turn into the city's hottest concert, with Beyoncé expected to perform there. And Harris and former President Barack Obama took to the campaign stage together for the first time yesterday in Georgia. Take a look.
My friend, the next president of the United States of America, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just 12 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump is set to talk about border security and immigration today in Austin, Texas, topics that he stressed during a visit to Arizona yesterday.
My message today is very simple. Kamala's migrant invasion, given to us through gross incompetence, disqualifies her from even thinking about being president. We're a dumping ground. We're like a garbage can for the world.
And we have reporters covering both campaigns for us this morning. Let's start with CBS News correspondent Scott MacFarlane. He's following the Harris campaign on the campaign trail from our D.C. bureau. Scott, Texas is not known to be a traditional swing state by any means, but there is a deep gender divide there. What message does Kamala Harris intend to deliver in this staunchly red state with just 11 days to go?
Just like everybody drew up months ago. The candidates in Texas, 10 days out from the end of election season and the end of voting in 2024. This is a platform for the vice president to try to make a statement to all the battleground states at once. Having Beyoncé on the marquee as well doesn't hurt. Having a laser focus, as the campaign says, on women's reproductive rights really synthesizes into what the campaign wants to be a closing message. Doing this in concert with a new advertisement which accuses Donald Trump of being singularly responsible for the overturning of Roe versus Wade in 2022. Having this distinctive event in Texas gives a broad stage for them to reach Nevada, Arizona, the Blue Wall states, North Carolina, and Georgia. And they're banking on this being an effective way, an effective megaphone to reach all.
All right, Scott, you're not off the hook yet. We're going to bring you back here in just a moment, but we want to get straight to the Donald Trump campaign. He heads to Austin to deliver his remarks. We'll bring you that in just a few hours. The former president looking to double down on major platform policies. CBS News campaign reporter Libby Cathey is following that campaign for us. And Libby, Trump looks to take a very different approach from Harris in Texas today. What points will he be hammering home in the Lone Star State?
That's right, Liz. For former President Donald Trump, it is all about immigration. That's why going to Texas today, that is a border state. A little unusual, as Scott mentioned, for both candidates to be in Texas with 11 days to go, because it isn't a battleground state. It is not in play in the presidential race. There is a Senate race there, Democrat Colin Allred taking on Republican Senator Ted Cruz. But really, the presidential race is baked in, it's seemingly for Republicans, although it's always a tease to Democrats. Donald Trump taking his message there to this border state and focusing on immigration, as he's done really throughout the entirety of the campaign, but really emphasizing that rhetoric and amping it up in the closing days here. Last night in Nevada, also talking about immigration, describing this country as, quote, infected, saying that he alone can fix it, and is offering to bring back this law, this centuries-old law, this Alien Enemies Act, to do mass deportations. We expect that's what he will hammer home today in Texas, and this comes ahead of going to another not battleground state, New York City, on Sunday for Madison Square Garden. This is all about reach and trying to get this really anti-immigrant message out with 11 days to go, Liz.
And Libby, the former president also scheduled to sit down with podcaster Joe Rogan following that campaign rally. Now, this podcast we know very popular with white men. What is Donald Trump trying to accomplish with this interview?
Yeah, absolutely. He's sitting down with Joe Rogan in Austin for that podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, the #1 podcast on Spotify. And again, Liz, I think this is about reach, not only going after that bro vote, as we call it, that white male vote that he's been going after for months now, but also trying to get those low propensity voters. These are voters that don't normally vote in presidential elections. Trump's campaign is hoping they can reach those voters on the Joe Rogan podcast. And that's why you've been seeing Trump do these podcast appearances. The campaign also feels this allows Trump to be a little more authentic and let his guard down. We've seen this for Kamala Harris as well. This really is the campaign of podcasting now. And they feel the candidates can be a little more unguarded in that setting and just reach a lot of voters. Joe Rogan's podcast, 14.5 million listeners on any given week. That's more than any given swing state comparably. So Trump will be taping that today ahead of a weekend campaigning. Liz.
Libby Cathey continuing to follow all things Trump campaign for us. Thanks so much for that reporting, Libby.